Hey guys, what's up? It's Wild Animal 2000. As many of you know, I posted a video that is completely dark and it is titled EM. This is basically the tracks. I will rename it. I'm just gonna call it the periodic table song piano track. So basically, if any of you want to watch, any of you want to make your own versions of it, then yeah, that's why I upload the tracks. So today I'm going to talk about the periodic table, since I don't think I'll be able to make the parody for the next few days until I can find my periodic table shirt. But without further ado, yeah, let's just get started. So pretty much you can see that this is what the periodic table looked like. As some of you might know, it was developed by Dmitry Mendeleev, and he left spots for new elements to be found. So basically, there are 4 different blocks. The S block, containing all the elements on the left. The D block, containing all the transition metals. The P block, containing all the elements on the right of the periodic table. And the F block, containing all the lanthanides and actinides. As you can see, you will notice that most of it is divided between metals and nonmetals, and a vast majority of elements are metals. For example, you have the alkali metals, who only have 1 electron in their outer shell. The alkaline metals only have 2 electrons in their outer shell. This only has 3 electrons in its outer shell, 4 electrons, 5, 6, 7, and 8. See here, these are noble gases. Since they have 8 electrons in their outer shell, they are relatively satisfied, so they're not reactive. Now, at this time, many of you will be saying, Pranav, what the heck are you talking about? Electrons in outer shell? Well, I'd be more than happy to explain. Basically, there are these things called atoms that make up everything we know. That's made out of ordinary matter that we know of. And basically, atoms have a set amount of electrons in their outer shell. Electrons are a negative particle, and in the nucleus, you have protons, positive particles, and neutrons, neutral particles. But the electrons are negative particles, and they're very small, and they're in the outer shell, and the outer shells need to be filled, otherwise they will be reactive. Bringing us to since they only have 1 electron in their outer shell, they're extremely reactive, as with the halogens, which are nonmetals. These are also extremely reactive because only 7, and they need to get rid of 1. Meanwhile, you have alkaline metals. Then there are the transition metals. Here, I should probably state alright, so you got lithium, sodium, potassium, and familiar elements. You don't got too much familiar elements here. You do got calcium, though. You will see some more elements that are familiar here in the transition metal. It's basically all just every other metal that they couldn't clump. They couldn't find out, so they had to clump it in the D block. I don't know what that represents. I'm sure I can come up with that later. You might realize some, such as iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, and palladium, silver. Don't know if you can see it. Tungsten, I'm sure some of you have heard of that. Platinum, gold, mercury, and most of all, borium. Alright, I assume this is getting boring. So, basically, these are a bunch of metals in the D block. I don't know what the devil that represents, but I'm sure we'll get to that later. So, then you have the P block metals. Some people call these other metals, some people call these soft metals, but I like to call them P block, because they're in the P block. I don't know what P means. I honestly don't. So forgive me. So you see, all these, you might recognize some such as aluminum, tin, and lead. As you can see, I color-coded them. And then there are the non-metals. These are not metals. These are not malleable by any means. They don't conduct electricity. I don't know exactly what constitutes a non-metal and a metal, but never mind. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, silver, selenium, and hydrogen. There are other non-metals, but this is the other non-metals. This is the miscellaneous group, so yeah. And then you come to the halogens. These are various amounts of... Oh yeah, shoot, I forgot the metalloids. These feature traits of both metals and non-metals. So basically, they have different allotropes. For example, arsenic has yellow and gray allotropes. You might recognize some such as boron and silicon. Now, you can see the halogens only have 7 electrons in their outer shell, so this means that they only will... This means they're extremely reactive. These, as I said before, you might recognize neon, for example, and krypton, which has nothing to do with Superman. Then you have these elements, the lanthanides and the actinides. I don't know why they grouped them on their own, but they're except for the fact they might be part of the F-block. See, the deal is all the actinides and 1 lanthanide is radioactive. What does radioactivity mean, you ask? Radioactivity means that their atoms are unstable, so they keep off giving free electrons. It's free electron estate. Somebody make a meme out of that. Anyway, every element after bismuth is, radioactive. Bismuth itself is not radioactive, but polonium and all other elements following are radioactive. You can see that uranium is the last naturally occurring element. And also, I put some stuff here that might help you grasp what they are like at room temperature. Solid, liquid, gas, and unknown. As you can see, most of these are solids. For example, platinum is solid. Only the 2 liquid elements at room temperature, not that these can vary, are mercury and bromine. All the noble gases and some gases over here and here are, what's it called? Oh yeah. They are considered to be gaseous. Now, as for the unknowns, that's because we don't know what it is, so we can't simulate it. And also, as for the question mark, double, exclamation mark, we don't really know what these are because they were made in labs, and they only last for fractions of a second, so we really don't know. By the way, nihonium, moscovium, tennessine, and oganesson were recently made, so they just got recently named. Just saying. So let me know if you have any other questions about chemistry, and I'd be happy to answer them, or any other science for that matter. Please comment down below what you would like. I promise the periodic table of the Element Song is coming out in a few days, so stay tuned for that. Like, comment, share, subscribe, click that little bell symbol down below. It notifies you whenever my videos come. This is your boy Wild Animal 2000. Catch you later.